Welcome again to Joe Stunner Boxing. A lot of people have talked about the disparity in size between Oleksandr Uysk and Tyson Fury. I mean, thinking before the fight as well as obviously post-fight, it's less than a day after the fight. But Tyson himself was saying, he called Usyk the rabbit, which he stole from Muhammad Ali, because Muhammad Ali used to call Floyd Patterson the rabbit. And he'd say, he's just a middleweight. And obviously this was nonsense. Usyk's not a middleweight. He's actually quite a big man. He's grown into the division. He's 6'3", and he's about 16 stone. That's not a small man. But he is small compared to Tyson Fury, because Tyson Fury dwarfs everyone. And in the fight, as I said in my post-fight review, it was almost comical, the size difference when they came out, especially as Tyson was moving backwards and Usyk was moving forwards. And the whole thing it had a sort of comedic value, I thought. Now, they say that, a good big man will always be a good small man. But in the heavyweight division, we live in the land of the giants. But the question is worth asking, can a smaller guy like Usyk has done? I know Usyk is an extremely rare talent and a generational talent. But if you're good enough, can you beat a really good big guy? Because Tyson Fury is a really good big man. I mean, for the first 6 rounds, I thought he looked as good as he's ever done in his entire career, Tyson Fury. I thought he looked... At one point, I thought he was going to stop Usyk. And I know a few people I've spoken to said the same thing. He was beating the crap out of Usyk. But Usyk is so mentally strong and so well-schooled and has so many gears and talents, and, his engine and everything about him is it's like he was built in a laboratory. And, of course, he's lived a life, and he's trained, and he's extremely disciplined. So he maximizes all those considerable talents. He somehow took over in the second half of the fight. He had Fury on the floor. I mean, this is a guy that is outweighed by, in terms of natural weight, 40, 50 pounds, whatever it is, 3 stone. But we're talking heavyweights. So the question is, when you consider what Usyk's done, and when you consider what Evander Holyfield did, and when you consider how good Mike Tyson was, who was a small guy, about 5'11", 15 and a half stone maybe, is the land of the giants, is this really the era of the massive men? Because don't forget, Usyk has already beaten Joshua twice. And Joshua, he's got his critics, but he's an extremely good heavyweight as well. So Usyk's twice beaten Joshua. He's beaten Fury. He's shown that he can get down and dirty in the trenches with a man who's so much bigger than him and beat him up and come on strong and win. Does size matter in the heavyweight division as much as we think it does? Because Fury, this wasn't just a lumbering, Primo Carnera type. This was Tyson Fury, who looked better than ever in the first half of the fight, moves brilliantly for such a massive man, has great skills, and yet Usyk was able to counter that. So it's not like, Usyk, as brilliant as he was facing a completely talentless lummox. He was facing a very, very good heavyweight, extremely good heavyweight. And I think it's just I think we have to review this idea with the heavyweights that that size... that size is important, of course, but that size defines potential victory. I mean, when you think about David Haye fighting Valuev was over 7 feet tall, but he wasn't particularly talented. He was just very, very big, enormous. He wasn't particularly talented man. In fact, Evander Holyfield should really have had a decision over Valuev. And Evander Holyfield was tiny compared to Valuev, but then probably Tyson Fury would look small against Valuev. So size could get you so far. But when you consider how talented Fury is, and yet he lost to a much smaller man who is probably more talented, I'm beginning to think if you're good enough, you're big enough. And yeah, okay, with other weight divisions, I mean, let's take Inoue, for example. If Inoue was to keep moving up the divisions, eventually he'd hit a ceiling and they'd just be too big for him. But with heavyweight boxing, it is unique in that sense that you can be a 16-stone man going in with a natural 19-stone man, 3 stone difference, and yet you can beat him. You can actually outgut him. You can floor him. in the case of Fury, don't forget, he was on the floor 4 times against Deontay Wilder. Deontay Wilder is tall, but he's not that big. He's only like 220 man, 218, 220, 222 tops. He's not a big man. He's just very, very tall and rangy and hits like a truck with the right hand. So I don't know. I mean, it's just food for thought. If you're good enough, are you big enough? That's my question to you. And I really hope there is a rematch with this fight. I know that they both need a long rest. They both earned it. I want to see a rematch. I think it was a close-ish fight. I thought Usyk clearly won. Like I said before, I had it 115, 112. I know a lot of you disagree that I gave most of the first 6 rounds to Fury. Some of you are disagreeing. Some of you are saying that was 3-3, maybe 4-2 to Fury, but not 5-1 or anything like that. Okay, whatever you think. I thought I had Usyk as the winner. In actual fact, if he hadn't scored that knockdown, it would have been a draw because the final card was 114, 113. And that would have been 114, 114, a draw. So that really would have set up the rematch. But even so, I think the rematch is an absolute natural. And it will answer the question, I think, again, about size, this size disparity. How relevant is it? Leave your comments below if you've got any. Please subscribe to the channel if you're new. I always appreciate that. You're supporting the channel. That's fantastic. And yeah. Oh, hit the like button as well. They count them, so I'm told. I don't know. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. And bye for now.